Hello everyone and welcome to the world of guitar speaker simulation. If you're watching this video, you probably already know what this is about. But before starting this review, I've asked myself what is available on the market right now, so I've made a little research. I found a lot of different devices in a very wide price range. There are still classic stuff like Redbox or PDI, but slowly but surely digital devices take over. Some of them, like Torpedo, are standalone, others are parts of complex devices like Kemper or XFX, and there's a bunch of purely software simulators. Most of them have a set of pre-programmed guitar cabinets, and only a few let you use your own profiles or impulse responses. This ability, together with affordable price and small size of the device, make Pangaea somewhat interesting. Before we begin, let's take a look at the specs at the official website. Pangaea has 3 working modes: headphones, line output and balanced output. It also has an adjustable attenuator. Look at the latency, it says 1.2 milliseconds. Well, we're gonna check that later on, and it needs 12 volts 100 milliamps power supply. As the most of AMT devices, Pangaea comes in a simple black box. This one has an old AMT logo and the handwriting has CP-100. Inside you've got an incredibly long USB lead, power plugs for European and US markets, power supply itself, which is AMT branded but made in China. This one is really flexible though. It takes any input voltage and gives you steady 12 volts, and enough power not only for Pangaea but probably for your whole pedal board. As for the device itself, it has control buttons and a little screen on the top, power and TRS connectors as well as auxiliary input on the back, attenuator controls and USB connector on the front. As you can see, my device has white print on it. Initially, Pangaea was released with orange print. I believe nowadays you can find both, but inside they are absolutely the same. I personally don't care what color it is as long as it works. In the box you've got a fully printed instruction manual, which is at the same time outdated because it's for the version 1.0. And last but not least, the warranty card that says the warranty period is 12 months, but if something happens, you're gonna have to send your device to Russia. Because the title of this video promised you a full review, I've decided to let Pangaea meet my screwdriver and show you what's inside. Well, it is completely built with tiny SMD elements. The only potentially useful information is that my device is revision 1C. Other than that, this action has proved that there are no user serviceable parts inside, so don't try this at home. When I turned it on, I saw the message saying the firmware version is 1.0. The latest version to the date is 2.5.4, so I guess it's best if I update my device before showing you its functionality. And this isn't hard to do. Pangaea's firmware is regularly updated, and you can always find the latest version at the official website. I've just downloaded a zip file and found detailed instructions inside. Basically, I have to connect Pangaea to my computer and to the power supply. Then back up all the files, format the internal storage, and restore the backup. After that, I simply copy the firmware file to Pangaea's root folder, and that's it. I just have to disconnect it from the computer and the update process will start. Just make sure you don't disconnect the power cable, cause you can brick your device. Okay, now it is up to date. For this demonstration, my preamp is connected directly to Pangaea without any power amplifier. By the way, Pangaea has no load box, which means if you're gonna use it with a tube power amplifier, make sure you connect a speaker or a loud box to Pangaea's through output, otherwise you're gonna blow your amp. Let me show you how Pangaea works. We have banks on the left and presets on the right, and you can scroll through them using these two buttons. And it goes in circles. You have 10 banks with 10 presets per bank, which makes 100 presets altogether. If the preset's number is blank, it means the preset is empty, and there is no impulse response file associated with it. If you want to see preset's name, press Set button once. Press it again to return to the home screen. If you hold the same button, you can choose one of 3 working modes, which are headphones, line output, and balanced output. I'm gonna stick to the last one since I'm using a balanced cable. Hold this button again to confirm and get back to the home screen. Edit button leads me to another screen where I can change settings for the current preset. CS, which probably stands for cabinet simulation. Equalizer, room settings, volume, high pass and low pass filters, and presence. The first block simply turns the speaker simulation on and off. And then you have 5-band truly parametric EQ. If you press Edit once again, you'll see more settings for the corresponding band. Room was already on for this preset. There isn't much you can tweak here. You can change the amount of reverb and pick one of 3 available rooms. I'll turn it off for now. Volume goes from 0 to 31, and you can see input and output levels when you're adjusting it. High-pass filter cuts frequencies below a certain point. You can set this point from 20 to 1000 Hz. Low-pass filter gives an opposite effect. It may be set to anything between 1000 and 20,000 Hz. And the last one, presence control, goes up to 31 and gives a similar effect to a presence control on a guitar amplifier. Once you go to the home screen, it will offer you to save the preset or cancel all changes. One of the relatively new features in Pangaea is a tuner. You turn it on by holding the Edit button. I wish there was an option to set the reference pitch, but it seems to be fixed at 440. Tuner is a very useful feature, but I found this one to be pretty nervous. The only way I could stop it from jumping around is by palm muting the string a little bit. Turning the tone on the guitar all the way down would probably help too. I hope this will be fixed in future updates. The Attenuator has 6 different options. It can go down to -40 dBs, which must be enough to cover any input level. Pangaea comes with some preloaded guitar cabinets, and I wanted to demonstrate them. But then I realized that the choice of cabinets is somewhat weird. Normally you would expect some traditional stuff every guitar player is familiar with, such as you know what it must sound like even before you choose the preset. really must-have cabinets like Fender, Marshall or Vox. Instead, you've got 2 full banks of Crank, 1 full bank of Bogner, and in the bank 3 there are Soldano, Hiwatt and Mesa rectifier. With an exception of Mesa and maybe Hiwatt, I would say everything else is really exotic. Let's be honest, most of the guitar players have never even seen one Crank amp in their life. Don't get me wrong, exotic cabinets are good to have, but in a real situation most of the times we use something familiar, something we used to. More than that, many situations require us to have that specific tone of classic amps and cabinets. Yes, I know, profiles of those cabinets are easy to find online, but still it is such an obvious thing to have them in a box right from the beginning. With that being said, let's listen to what we have. I've switched my Pangaea into line output mode because I wanted to show you how it works in stereo. At the same time, I'm using auxiliary input. It has no volume control, so if you want to adjust it, you have to do that on the external device. Let's run some more tests. Pangaea is a digital device, and of course because of that it has some latency. So I want to know if it is really as little as it is written at the website. Because I've done this before and I've described the whole procedure in one of my other videos, I'll just record the scratch and give you a final result. As far as I can tell, it is a little longer than 1 millisecond. So we can assume that the latency from the website is correct. And these are very good results. Because Pangaea is a device that simulates something, a guitar cabinet in this case, I couldn't stop myself from performing the next test. I want to know how big is the difference between the original and its simulation. Well, obviously I don't have any of those cabinets pre-programmed in Pangaea. But I have another one which I like, and I'd love to have it profiled. As a matter of fact, I would prefer to always have that sound with me, but I just hate to carry that cabinet around. So I'm gonna create an impulse response and compare it to the original right away, with the same mic position and everything else. I found an article online about that. Turns out it's really easy to do. I'll give you a link to the article in the description, such as you can profile your own cabs. The idea is very simple. With a special software, I generate a test tone, and then I play this test tone through the cabinet and record it with a microphone. Exactly the same way I normally record guitar sound. You just heard me doing that a few moments ago. And then I let the same software to process recorded signal, and it creates an impulse response. All I need to do is copy it into Pangaea's internal memory, and we're good to go. Oh, just one more thing. You can hear the actual sound of unplugged guitar through the mic, just a little bit. And it's not the case with Pangaea, because there's no mic involved. Just keep that in mind when you're looking for differences in sound. Alright, go go go! I know there was a discussion online about a device like Pangaea being connected before or after power amplifier and what is best. As you could see, when I was recording an impulse response, the power amplifier was involved, so it is already in the sound. The power amp changes the sound a little bit. And because I already have that effect in the impulse response, my common sense tells me I probably should put Pangaea before the power amp. But just to have all questions answered, and to test the attenuator in action, here's the last test: Pangaea after the power amp versus real cabinet with a microphone. Here are once again all the facts. There is such thing as file truncate we didn't talk about yet. If you open some average impulse response file, you will see that the file itself is longer than 20 milliseconds. And even though the most of the data is within those first 20 milliseconds, there's still something after that. Pangaea ignores everything after that point, which means the simulation is not exact as it could be. The manufacturer realized that, and this year they released Pangaea 100 FX, and that one's truncate is 80 milliseconds, which is 4 times as much. Another thing I didn't mention before is that even though it's written on Pangaea that it needs 140 milliamps, it works just fine with 100. 2 pros and cons. I guess the best thing is that it lets you use your own impulse responses with low latency and for a good price. And it won't take much space in your pedalboard. There are regular firmware updates as well. On the other hand, I had a feeling that the interface was a little confusing. It also has this USB connector but no digital output or audio interface functionality. I know that the new Pangaea FX has digital output. And then there's such thing as memory size, which is not a real con though, because one impulse response file takes around 20 kilobytes or less. So 4 megabytes is more than enough for 100 presets. About the rest, by the time you're watching this video, things may be different. But as of today, there is no official software to convert impulse responses into Pangaea-friendly format. Currently, the tuner is a little unstable and you cannot adjust its reference frequency. There are no classic caps included by default, but you can download them easily. Overall, I have a very good impression about this device. It does exactly what it's supposed to, and it does it good. I've also found an interesting price trick. Apparently, AMT products are priced differently in Russia than in the rest of the world. You'll see that if you check both English and Russian versions of the official store. So, if you ever go to Russia, what could be a better souvenir? Well, that's it for now. If you like the sound of that cabinet I used for this demonstration, you can download it from my website. I'll give you some useful links in the description. Whatever questions you have, go ahead and write them in the comments. I'd love to make some more equipment reviews. Subscribe if you're interested. That's it for the moment. Thanks for watching.